Nabil Rajab, president of the Bahrain Human Rights Centre, was sentenced to 3 years in prison for a tweet. On Friday, a Russian band was sentenced to 2 years in jail for a political performance. There is unity in the oppression. There must be absolute unity and determination in the response. Thank you.
Well, there's Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, standing on that balcony in the Ecuadorian embassy in central London. You can just hear the volume of the noise from the crowd who've been gathering since early this morning in anticipation of hearing him speak. Doors having to be removed so he can safely, from within the protection of that embassy, address the crowd and the media. Well, our correspondent Andrew Plant is outside the embassy listening to that. And this was meant not to be a political speech in any way, Andrew.
That's right, yeah, that was one of the stipulations when the Ecuadorian government granted Mr. Assange diplomatic asylum. They did say that would be rescinded if he made any political statement. I think what we've just heard there would be fit into the category of political statement. Certainly that was the address that people here have been waiting for. The first time he's spoken publicly in the 2 months since he first entered the Ecuadorian embassy to ask them for asylum. Let's just take a look at some of the things he said there. He thanked the Ecuadorian government for the asylum status that they'd granted him, specifically the people of Ecuador and its President Correa too. He also talked about the USA stopping what he called its witch hunt of WikiLeaks, of specifically him and WikiLeaks staff. And he asked again, as some supporters have done here today, for an assurance from the United States that they wouldn't seek his extradition once again if he were extradited to Sweden. I think what's telling here, obviously he's given his statement from the balcony there, so he is on still Ecuadorian soil. There is no way that the British government can arrest him until he steps onto British soil. But he repeated that accusation, didn't he, where he said that the UK had threatened to break diplomatic rules by threatening to enter the Ecuadorian embassy. The UK government have said several times now that it wasn't their intention to enter the embassy. They were merely making the Ecuadorian government aware of all the possible legal ramifications, all the rules that exist in the UK for rescinding the diplomatic status of a building. They say, never have any intention of using it. Now, I think what was interesting, particularly about that, was that Mr. Assange didn't say what happens next. He did say there would be a meeting this Friday of the Organisation of American States, and we heard from a spokesperson of that organisation about half an hour ago here who said that Ecuador and their granting of diplomatic asylum status for Mr. Assange had the backing of the majority of the countries in South America. Mr. Assange saying then that there would be that meeting on Friday, and I think hinting towards a diplomatic solution to his predicament. But that doesn't change the fact that he is in an island of Ecuadorian soil there and surrounded by British soil. And despite some theories about how he may eventually make his way to Ecuador, I don't think there is any credible way for him to do that. Therefore, his only options still remain to be either staying in the Ecuadorian embassy indefinitely or finally coming out and being arrested by UK police, and then he would be subject to extradition to Sweden. So Julian Assange then, the gist of what he was saying, I think really that he is seeking the USA to say that there is no process going on there to seek his extradition from Sweden.
Andrew, thank you very much. Andrew Plant there in central London for us. We'll keep an eye on goings-on at the Ecuadorian embassy here on BBC News throughout the afternoon and the evening.